Today we're going to do Threefold, Section 3, Part 2. Here we go. Guinness remembered leaving the inn and wondering if he'd ever run into those two again. He headed toward Casadea, following a map he purchased. Guinness arrived near Evergard as the moon and stars lit up the sky. After a long day's journey, he decided to eat and catch up on his sleep. He fed the Lunastrian dragon, thanked him for the ride, and set him free. He would need him for the rest of his journey, but he didn't want to keep him tied up to anything. He ate the rest of his own meal and stripped to his boxers to get more comfortable. He slept outside the town so he could sleep surrounded by nature. He woke to the sun's warmth on his face. The position of the sun told him he had slept until mid-afternoon, which didn't bother him because he hated waking up with the sun. He almost forgot over in this part of the world days were shorter. Better catch something to eat before he reached Casadea. He sat up. He remembered seeing his father's broken body. He remembered seeing blood everywhere. He remembered seeing Matteo before he left their father to die. Guinness felt the sun's warmth on his body. There was no feeling like it. He would have slept naked, but he wasn't from around here and he couldn't go to jail for indecent exposure. He had to attend to his business. He yawned, scratched at his mildly hairy chest, and watched the clouds slowly move across the sky. Teresa wanted him to talk to Matteo. He might talk to him all right before he dealt the death blow. Teresa wanted him to forgive Matteo. Forgiveness. Forgiveness was a sign of weakness. After a few moments of staring at the sunlight streaming through the trees onto the nearby road, he got dressed. This is Evergard. He heard some guy say behind him as he pulled on his pants, zipped and buttoned them. He barely made out the words considering how low the guy spoke. "I see the sign," a second guy said, "but I don't see the town." "It's at the center of a nature-made labyrinth." "You're kidding! I can't believe I never read about this place." Guinness turned around as he pulled on his shirt. He saw the two guys taking the road. The second guy stood taller than him, but not by much. His dreadlocks rested on his back in a ponytail. The sunlight illuminated his face, moderate mustache, goatee, and deep brown eyes. His dark complexion told Guinness he was a Solaresian. The other was Junyo, the Lunastrian from the photo. Guinness grabbed his gear. "Junyo Shugashima!" Guinness called him out. "Do you know Matteo Andrade?" The man named Junyo turned his attention on him with an emotionless expression and cold stare. Guinness didn't seem to faze him. Junyo looked ready for an exchange other than words. Even looked like he might be a challenge. If that's the route this conversation took, Guinness had no problem beating answers out of him. A short silence followed as they sized each other up. "We came across a Matteo recently," Junyo's companion said. He broke their stare down. "Tell me where he is," Guinness demanded. He hoped he would have to beat the answers out of him. Junyo looked strong. He believed he was strong. Guinness would be more than happy to show him otherwise. Junyo's companion looked weak, and Guinness didn't like anything to do with weak people. "We don't know where he is," Junyo's companion said. He didn't seem fazed by Guinness's tone. "That qualifies as interfering," Junyo said. He didn't take his eyes off Guinness. Even this close, Guinness barely made out Junyo's words. "So," the second guy said, "I'm supposed to sit here and watch how this plays out?" "Tell your weak partner to stay out of this," Guinness said. "You ran across Matteo. Either you tell me where he is or you deal with me. One of Estrellano's strongest fighters." "Weak partner?" The second guy questioned himself. He frowned. He's arrogant, Junyo said. His eyes remained locked on Guinness's. Junyo seemed bothered by his buddy's presence, but if that were the case, why would he travel with them? Not arrogant, Guinness said. Confident. I can defeat anyone. He's a fool, Junyo said, like so many others I've come across. Guinness heard that. He clenched his fists hard. He watched Junyo's eyes narrow and lightning spark across his body. Anger rushed through Guinness, but so did excitement. He barely suppressed a smile. He hadn't faced a genetic electroenergist for some time. Guinness versus Junyo. Guinness grabbed his axe from the back of his waist and ran toward Junyo. Physical force and a great offense were the way he liked to handle encounters. He pulled off a downward strike with his axe. Junyo evaded, pivoting to the left. Guinness followed him with his axe. Junyo leapt back. Junyo pulled his firearm from his holster and fired a thunder shot. Guinness dived to his left in expectation of the counterattack, rolled across the ground, and turned to face Junyo. He encased his axe's handle in ice and chucked it at him. Junyo pivoted to his right. The axe passed by him and became lodged in the tree trunk behind him. Guinness charged Junyo. Junyo pivoted to his left. He watched Guinness pass by him. He unleashed a lightning bolt from his left hand. Guinness turned to face him and looked smug. He used his control over ice to pull his axe from the tree and used it to block Junyo's lightning, ready for the bolt. Afterward, he sent his ice-covered axe at Junyo. Guinness formed a second axe from ice. Junyo evaded the first swing of Guinness's ice-covered axe and used his firearm to keep it from hitting its mark. He fired a thunder shot at the axe and blew it out of the air before he fired a second shot at Guinness. Guinness somersaulted to his left. Junyo's attack took out a few trees. Guinness threw an ice spear at Junyo and expanded it into a wall. Junyo's next shot blew it into shards. Junyo unleashed a second lightning bolt at Guinness. Guinness ran at him and deflected it using his ice axe. He jumped and brought down his ice axe on Junyo and sent his ice-covered axe at him at the same time. Junyo blocked both strikes using his firearm and his forearm. Guinness tried to knock Junyo down, but Junyo kicked him back, struck the wielderless axe to the ground with a lightning bolt, and stepped on it. Guinness realized Junyo had strong genetic skills and combat prowess. Junyo wasn't just a long-range fighter like he originally thought, but he wasn't worried. He would knock Junyo on his ass and force him to give up the information he needed. He watched his movements and his actions. He was slightly impressed to meet someone like Junyo who remained calm and focused throughout this exchange, but he had him. In a quick moment, Guinness made the ice from his axe's handle shoot up and across Junyo's legs, keeping him in place. Their eyes met. Still, Junyo's expression didn't change. Guinness wanted to get a reaction out of him. He didn't like the idea that Junyo might think he was no challenge to him at all. He would show him like he showed anyone he faced. With their eyes locked on each other, Guinness gathered a spear of ice in his right hand. He held it in the air before he expanded it into an ice wall. Junyo shattered it into scattered shards with a thunder shot. A second and third ice wall followed. Junyo handled them in the same way. Guinness caused the ice across Junyo's leg to spread across his chest and arms. Guinness liked to end his battles fast. One reason was to show how good he was, but he had a second reason. Guinness breathed heavily. Using his cryogenesis quickly exhausted him. He hated relying on his abilities because they were so unreliable. They had no staying power. Guinness walked toward Junyo. He pulled Junyo's arms to his sides because they were now encased in ice. "You went down faster than I thought you would," Guinness said. He smirked. "You turned out to be pretty pathetic." He watched Junyo close his eyes and lower his head. The Stetson he wore hid his face. "Mateo was a much better fighter than this," Junyo said. Guinness grit his teeth. He moved his hand to crush Junyo's body with the ice that encased him. Junyo's eyes shot open. He unleashed lightning from his eyes and sent Guinness into a tree. Guinness dropped his weapon. He dropped to the ground. The aftershock caused him to shake at the tree's base. Guinness watched dazed. Junyo released himself from his ice with an electrical discharge. All right, guys, that was part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave me a message. Tomorrow I'll be diving into part 3. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.